UFC 297 just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. Make sure you guys smash that like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'm going to start with the first fight of the night and then work my way up to the main event. So let's get into it. Starting the card off, we had Jimmy Flick versus Malcolm Gordon in what was a pretty sensational comeback upset. It looked like Malcolm Gordon had Jimmy Flick's number. He was way more athletic. He was physically stronger early and just destroying him on the feet for the first round. Jimmy Flick pretty much looked like a dead man walking. Well, in the second round, Malcolm Gordon gets overzealous, right? Ends up getting put on his back and arm triangle. This was crazy because it looked like Jimmy Flick was a dead man on the feet. His striking was not near there. Malcolm Gordon, I don't think of as a good striker. He looked like he was a Thai boxing champ, the way he was ripping up Jimmy Flick on the feet, but it doesn't matter. The jiu-jitsu of Flick came through, and he strangled Malcolm Gordon with an arm triangle into submission. And what was a big upset and a major comeback that keeps Jimmy Flick's UFC career alive, and it's probably sending Malcolm Gordon back to the Northern Canadian leagues, man. Unfortunately, he's getting sent out. Jimmy Flick, sick performance on the comeback. I mean, not sick performance like, yo, he's going to be a UFC champ, but like savage to be able to come back from that and get a W. So I was impressed nonetheless. Jimmy Flick, big W, and he was an underdog that started the night off well. Let's keep running up the card. If you notice any weird flick of the screen, it's because Tapology was freezing up on me. We're going to keep on moving. Second fight on the card, we got Jasudavicius versus Priscilla Cachoeira. To be honest with you, Jasudavicius was pretty dominant throughout, but Cachoeira was like still trying to throw some hammers late in the fight. A big takeaway that I have from this matchup, though, is Cachoeira is definitely better at 135, and I feel like not cutting that extra 10 pounds is what kept her in it as long as she was in it. I mean, the referee could have easily jumped in and stopped the fight earlier because Jasudavicius was pulverizing Priscilla Cachoeira for the majority of the fight. As soon as they would get to the ground, there would be dominant position, ground and pound. Jasudavicius was struggling to lock up a Darce, failed a couple of attempts, and then towards the end of the fight, third round with what? Not even 40 seconds left. Jasudavicius taps out Cachoeira with the Darce. It was pretty sick. And I think Jasudavicius is a pretty strong grappler. She can bully a lot of girls with her wrestling skill set. I definitely like her fighting at 125, not 35. This was, you know, a matchup because Cachoeira couldn't make 125. And Jasudavicius, savage, wanted to be on that Canada card, decided, hey, I'll do it at 35 and I'll deal with a little bit of a disadvantage. Because Cachoeira hit her with some hard shots. And like she was fending off some takedowns late in the third because she had a little bit of blast left. But nonetheless, when Jasudavicius got it to the floor, it was game over. A couple scary moments in the third, but nothing terrifying for Cachoeira's side to pull it off. Jasudavicius gets the rightful win. She was a huge favorite, and she got a dominant win. Fight probably could have been stopped earlier. It was like 2 10-8 rounds and then a destructive third at the end. But glad she did get a finish nonetheless. I called this up. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, Sam Patterson, Yohan Lainesse. Sam Patterson strangled Yohan Lainesse in 2 minutes. He got his back and tapped him with ease. Like, it was no match when they hit the floor. It was kind of sad for Lainesse. I thought he'd be stronger. Taking on Patterson, who's a pretty thin dude. Back control, strangle, fight finished. Lainesse, okay on the feet, had like a moment for a second, but Sam Patterson gets it to the floor, gets his back, and strangles him. As soon as they got to the mat, it was nothing. Like, this fight felt like it was 45 seconds. Granted, it was 2 minutes long. It wasn't much longer than 45 seconds. But, like, as soon as we got going, as soon as they got to the mat, it was Patterson on the back and then under the neck. It's like Yohan almost didn't defend it. He's getting cut from the UFC. Yohan Lainesse is getting the walking papers, man, because this is a bad loss in the fashion that he got tapped. And what is he, 1-3 in the UFC now, 31? I think they're probably going to give him his walking papers, unfortunately, man. Feel bad for him. For Patterson, this is great because he got chinned by Yanal Ashmouz last time at 55. Moves up to 135 pounds. 135, what am I saying? Moves up to 170 from 155, and he looks quality. And he gets a quick win of Lainesse. Honestly, impressive the way he easily ran through him without sustaining much damage, because Lainesse usually does do damage to opponents even if he does lose. So Patterson, sick W in his second UFC appearance. Next fight on the card, Gillian Robertson versus Polyana Viana. All right. Gillian Robertson pulled this out using her dominant grappling skill set that she has. She has a very dominant grappling game. I think that her takedowns on point, control on point. Polyana Viana didn't have the punching power really to give Robertson a substantial striking threat. So Robertson was willing to walk through and consistently land takedowns. Eventually locks up a sub. Polyana Viana, the thing with her is I feel as though I just don't think has the top. Did I say sub? I'm mixing up methods of victory. I'm thinking sub because they're on the ground. No, she ground and pounded her. Good stoppage, actually, by the ref. This was another one. It kind of looked lopsided, like the Cachoeira Jasudavicius fight. Robertson's on top, mount, throwing shots, beating up Viana majority of the time, and Viana had no answer. She didn't get submitted, but she got TKO'd on the mat because Robertson let some ferocious mounted ground and pound go. And Viana was done at the stoppage, too. Like, the way she was turtling up and the ref stepped in and the body language after, we knew the fight was done. Good performance by Gillian. Dominant win against a girl she should have beaten who had a clear gap in the game. Robertson's legit on the ground, dude. If she gets fights to the floor, she can beat a lot of women at 115. Let's keep running up the card. Next fight on it, we had Ramon Taveras versus Sidey. Okay, so this fight here was an ultra-competitive split decision that I think could have gone either way. At the end of it, I thought Sidey had stolen a close decision. They give it to Taveras. It's not like I can stand here, yell, and cry about it because Taveras dropped Sidey in the second round. So depending on how you judge it, even though I felt Sidey won the majority of the second round, he was still knocked down in the second. And that was the main round that determined everything. I thought he definitely got the third. First round, Taveras ripped him up with shots. Fucking busted him wide open. Like, Sidey looked like he'd gone 15 rounds at the end of this fight. Taveras has legit power. He dealt with some big shots by Sidey in this fight, and he escaped with a very competitive win. Taveras definitely has a fun style. He's got a lot of power in his hands. He's an entertaining guy on the come up, and I like his game. But him and Sidey was so close. I really thought it could have gone Sidey's way. I'm not going to say robbery, but I definitely think it could have gone the way of Sidey. Maybe a little controversial-ish, but a tad. Not complete robbery. The commentary spoke about the same thing. They thought Sidey had done enough at the end. But what I think it is the judges see how destroyed Sidey's face was at the end of it. They're like, damn. Round one, face or round two, face destroyed, and he got dropped, give the round to Taveras. You see what I'm saying? The mentality was on, okay, he got dropped in the round and his face is destroyed, give him the round. Third round, no argument, definitely Sidey's round, regardless of the damage on his face. We're scoring damage trumps all, but not damage from the first round into the third, just because you still see it. So I think Sidey, unfortunately, took some big shots early, looked bad physically, damage-wise, and that cost him. Good win for Taveras, even if it was a little controversial. He's still a sick prospect and a fun style. Reminds me of like a lesser prime Cody Garbrandt. Lesser, but like Cody Garbrandt-esque with a little Masvidal flair. Next fight on the card, Sean Woodson, Charles Jourdain. I thought this definitely was a win for Sean Woodson. I was actually shocked at the split decision. I thought he more cleanly had won the fight. I thought it was unanimous. Charles Jourdain had some moments, but Woodson, for the most part, boxed him up from the outside, kept him at the end of his punches. Jourdain would close the gap, throw decent kicks and punches, tried to engage in grappling, using pressure in the clinch, but Sean Woodson was in like a flow-like state. What was crazy, at the end of this fight, the referee raises Jourdain's hand as they're saying Sean Woodson. I can see how Sean, Ch, like listening to the sounds. Sean, Charles, like he just heard the sh and he raises it. I'm like, no way. The referee fumbled it. Jourdain's, yeah. Woodson thinks he loses. Then after they tell him, no. Woodson, you won the fight. That was funny. That was a funny moment. Feel bad for Jourdain, but he did lose. I thought split decision was a gift. Sean Woodson stylistically was a nightmare matchup for him. The range advantage was real. The boxing from the outside was on point. Sean Woodson looks smooth out there, and I think he's got a really tricky frame for tons of guys at 145 pounds. Tons of people will struggle with that type of frame that he has. And I'm excited to see more. I'm excited to watch a lot of Sean Woodson moving forward because he's got a tricky style, a tricky game, a tricky frame, a tricky flow. He's a smooth fighter. Yeah, I like Sean Woodson, man. Charles Jourdain on the other side, unfortunately taking an L. He's still young at 28. He's a good mid-tier scrapper. Always fun fights, good style, but just doesn't get past that upper echelon test. And Woodson now is going to be moving towards the rankings. I mean, Charles Jourdain earlier this week just got put in the video game, and now he takes an L. For Sean Woodson, this is major. He might be working towards a fight in the rankings because he's pretty legit. Sean Woodson, good win. Next fight on the card, it was our featured prelim of the night. It went to Garrett Armfield by unanimous decision. To be honest with you guys, I watched the first and second and felt Armfield was doing more, landing the cleaner shots, and Brad was like throwing shots but not really hitting flush, where Armfield was connecting to me with more significant clean shots. In the third round, definitely it was Katona's round. What Katona would do is lose the early portion of the round, then look to clinch up and control and steal it late. Ultimately, if damage is trumping all, I know Garrett Armfield did not have substantial damage, like he didn't shut Katona's eye, bust his nose or anything, or drop him, but he did land cleaner strikes on the feet, and those strikes are damaging shots, and I think the damage in the first and second round is what led him to the decision win, regardless of how that third round went, which I felt in the third round he definitely lost, no argument there, but I think Katona closely lost the first and second. His style of pressure control at the end for the modern rule set where damage is trumping everything, to me, was a bad game plan. Was a fumble. I think that was a fumble of the bag. Katona's style just wasn't it. Armfield looked good. Armfield wins. He's 10-3. Katona is cursed. He wins the Ultimate Fighter twice and then loses a UFC fight every time. Unfortunate. I feel bad for him. Winning tough twice, but just can't get his footing in the UFC against prospects. Armfield, I think he got the deserving win. I know people in the chat will tell you, no, it was a robbery. I've heard people say it, but I personally think Armfield got it by a tad. I'm picking the Armfield as the rightful winner. I thought he won it at the end of it. So congrats to Armfield beating Katona. It was highly regarded. Two-time tough winner. This is a legit W. Main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new, subscribe. Movsar Evloev versus Arnold Allen. Movsar gets a very competitive win. This fight was epic. Arnold Allen gave it hell. He hurt Movsar with some shots. Movsar rocked the shit out of Allen in the second round, though. Shut the eye. Third round, Allen with some tremendous knees on the ground, which are halfway illegal, but halfway not, because the arm is kind of down, touching the floor, but then it's getting lifted up as he's getting kneed, so we get a timeout, but we get no point deduction. So it's like, the rule to me has always been annoying, because if you're trying to lift the arm and elevate, now the strike with the knee is legal. But if it's hands on the mat, it's not legal. But his arm's getting elevated, he's getting kneed, so we did a timeout. So do we just eliminate that rule? Hand down, it's nothing. It needs to be knee down, or it has to be two hands down? Because if the knee and then the arms coming up is legal, why'd we even get a timeout? Why wouldn't Arnold Allen be able to do more? Very weird situation. Ultimately, it led to a timeout and a hard warning, but not a point deduction or disqualification. Nonetheless, didn't matter. Movsar still finished the fight very strong and got a competitive decision win and burst himself into legit contendership. Movsar can kickbox and wrestle extremely well. His takedowns are on point. That chain wrestling style, the EV in the name, you know the pressure wrestling they can bring, but also a quality stand-up game. He looked very good. I said this, though, watching the fight, man. His physique is sus for roids. I have to be 100%. Now, I'm not saying I would 100% know for sure, but Arnold Allen's a pretty fit and ripped guy, and Movsar looked way more jacked. Like, muscle density-wise was crazy. Maybe I'm just making accusations against him because he's Russian and they have a past of the doping system. But Movsar, nonetheless, got himself a clean W and called for a potential title fight. I don't know if that's next for him. I think maybe the Yair winner with, Ortega and him. But it could be title shot because he just beat Arnold Allen, who's legit on a, decent card, 297. But I think on paper, people would want to see more out of him before he got the title fight just because, like, name value-wise. Like, if Topuria wins the belt, I think Topuria-Volk rematch. If Movsar then would fall into a spot to fight against Volkanovski, if Volk wins and there's nobody else, like, I can see maybe that happening. Nonetheless, Movsar beat Arnold Allen and deserved this decision. And it was impressive to me. Next fight on the card, Chris Curtis gets it done over Marc-Andre Barriault. Competitive, back and forth, good 3-round scrap between these two. I definitely think Curtis finished strong and was the rightful winner. His timing was more on point later in the fight, and his hand speed was evident. Those body shots he was landing were beautiful. Chris Curtis ripped up Marc-Andre to the body on the inside. Barriault was nasty in the clinch, though, with knees and elbows, and his pressure was sick. But Chris Curtis, the action man, all action. Smooth hands, sick punching, good movement. I really like what I saw from Chris Curtis, man. I think that, he holds his spot at the back end of the rankings well against Barriault, who is the younger guy trying to burst on the scene for Canada. Canada had no luck with the men fighters on this card. We'll talk more about it as we get to our featured bout up next. Chris Curtis with, nonetheless, a good W, a deserving win. Some nice elbows and shots on the inside for Barriault. Curtis got headbutted again. Granted, it didn't cause any crazy damage or anything, but it's crazy how Chris Curtis is always getting head-to-heads. He's a southpaw, so those head clashes are common. Chris Curtis, though, clean W. Respect to him. Beats Marc-Andre Barriault on a competitive decision. Deserving win. Good performance. Hands are still smooth with him, and his timing was on point. Next fight on the card, Neil Magny versus Mike Malott. This fight was insane. You know why this fight was insane? Because Mike Malott had this in the bag. He had won majority of the fight. He'd won, 14 minutes of it. One little mistake. Neil Magny ends up on top, beating up Malott, mounts him, ground and pound. It's over. Malott fully gassed out. He was controlling in the grappling, threatening with submissions, striking well on the feet, chopping Neil Magny's leg. At the end of the first round, Neil Magny's leg was ripped up. And we're like, okay, Mike Malott looks good. He's cruising in this matchup. He's getting comfortable out here. I like what I'm seeing from Mike Malott. Instead, it finishes with an exhausted Mike Malott getting mounted, ground and pounded, and TKO'd by a 36-year-old Neil Magny, who holds his spot as a gatekeeper and sends back Malott. Malott just got exposed, man. He was supposed to be Canada's next up. He's 32 now. We know the ceiling. It ain't there. Neil Magny with a sick finish and a sick comeback gave Malott hell. It was great. It was sensational. The Haitian sensation was sensational because that comeback was insane. I was shocked as I was watching it. I lost my mind sitting here because I'm like, no, Mike Malott definitely has this. How is this happening? Now he's mounted. Okay, he'll survive to the end and win 29-28. He'll just lose this third round. I was not expecting him to get finished off and lose the fight. That's exactly what happened. Neil Magny, ladies and G's. Holy shit. Neil fucking Magny. Yeah. Good performance by Neil, man. I have nothing to say besides can't fucking keep an old savage dog down. Can't keep a good man down. He got a little karma. Granted, it's not like Malott did anything bad to him, but the Ian Gary slander beyond belief, made, Neil Magny kind of look like a child abuser, and to come here and get this finish, he needed that for his career. That win bonus is good for him, and I'm glad he got a win. Just sad for Mike Malott, man, because he got exposed. Big upset in this fight. That was not supposed to happen, in Canada especially. Craziness. Co-main event of the evening, Raquel Pennington versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Listen, Raquel Pennington pulls off the upset win and becomes champ. Bueno Silva exposed, limited gas tank and mental issues, okay? She breaks. Pennington doesn't break. She's got that savage mentality and keeps on coming. We knew she was tough after she took a beating for Nunes, rounds on rounds on rounds. Pennington put it on her late in the fight, okay? And kept it on her. Like, first round, Bueno Silva was looking all right. She kept searching for this ninja choke that was just never there. And then Pennington was in her face, touching her with punches, pressing her against the cage, doing a good job controlling her, getting into the ground, beating her up a little. Bueno Silva would shoot for something. Pennington would find a way out. Bueno Silva gets the back. Pennington finds a way out and delivers damage. She got the rightful decision. Bueno Silva had back control and a couple sub-attempts, but minimal damaging moments. Pennington ripped her with some good shots and finished on top. Clean W. Raquel Pennington gets the win. Becomes the women's bantamweight champ, which is nuts because Amanda Nunes was here and Pennington got destroyed by her when they fought, and it wasn't even competitive in the slightest margin. Holy shit. How this game goes is always wild to me. Bueno Silva was trying to bring that belt back to Brazil. She got exposed. Pennington, the OG, stuck around long enough to become world champ. Now she fights Juliana Pena. What is a fight that is years in the making because they both appeared on the Women's Ultimate Fighter, right? To burst into the UFC. Isn't that nuts? Pennington and Pena were on the first Women's Ultimate Fighter, and now they're fighting each other for the belt last time. It has to be Pennington next. Bueno Silva's sent out. I don't know who's next for her. But Pennington line it up with Juliana Pena, and I'm actually intrigued by that matchup because she's not going to be able to grapple Juliana Pena the way she's grappling Bueno Silva. I think Juliana Pena might become champ, but hey, years in the making type of fight. Pennington was the semifinalist, right? She lost to a girl who ended up having like a total washout in the UFC. I forget the name, but she was like 1-4 or 1-5. And then Juliana Pena, Jessica Rakoczy. And then Juliana Pena became the champion of the show and eventually got the world title belt. Both these girls now have had the strap. Current champ Pennington, let's get her and Pena to run it. Let's find out who's got it. I'm interested in that matchup. But yeah, it wasn't like this absolutely amazing back and forth fight. Pennington did what she needed to do to win. That's her style. She embraces the grind. She sticks to a game plan, and that's why she's the world champion. She doesn't break either. Rocky Pennington, congrats. Rocky moment for her. 16-8 as a pro and is now the world champion. Pretty sick. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. So was it a robbery? I personally scored the fight for none other than Sean Strickland. I thought that he deserved the win at the end. 3 rounds to 2 rounds. I thought du Plessis had a great performance. Definitely lost that 5th round. I thought Strickland looked good in the 1st. You can give him the 3rd. Maybe you give du Plessis the 4th. Like, I had Sean Strickland ahead. Now, I'd have to go back and rewatch it and analyze every single moment to tell you, was it absolute or absolute not? But watching it live, I had Sean Strickland as the winner. I thought he got 3 rounds to 2. I thought he pulled it off. I actually had going in to that final round, winner of this round wins the fight. I'm pretty sure it was round 1, Strickland, round 3, Strickland, and then round 2, 4, du Plessis, round 5, obviously going towards Strickland. That's where my head was at. Du Plessis gave him hell, though. He mixed in takedowns. He was pressuring with the striking. He landed good shots. He busted Sean Strickland up. He caught him with good punches. Strickland was peppering du Plessis with jabs and straights and swole that eye up. Du Plessis was active with takedowns, landing them. Strickland burst back up to his feet really well. This fight ended up being an absolute banger that goes to the scorecards in the most competitive of fashion. So close. Split decision du Plessis. So what happens now? Sean Strickland called for a rematch as he took the mic from DC, which I loved. I think Sean Strickland is not going to get his rematch because I think the UFC is not crazy about having him as the face of a division because he says some outlandish things. Du Plessis immediately called out Israel Adesanya. That's a beef that I know Adesanya is going to want to settle. Du Plessis does too, and the UFC is going to see that as an absolute dream fight. The issue is I don't think Du Plessis is going to be so willing to turn around in this non-optimal circumstance to fight at 300 unless he's out of this unscathed, just with facial swelling but no damage to his body. That is yet to be known. As we find out later on this week, later on this month, then maybe we'll get a clearer picture of if Du Plessis is fighting Adesanya next and if that could main event 300 because that would be sick. Du Plessis after the fight thought maybe Pereira was walking into the cage and he'd be fighting him next. Competitive as hell, but I did think Strickland won. Somewhat of a controversial decision. You can say robbery, but that's like, I don't want to take away from Dricus du Plessis having a quality performance because even in loss, I think he did a great job and he gave Sean Strickland a hellishly tough fight and it was super competitive, but my scorecard had Strickland winning it at the end. It went split decision du Plessis and new champion. The lines were even. The fight was even. This is how the game goes. For Sean Strickland, I think he's sent back into a weird spot where they might force him into like a Jared Cannonier fight. They should keep him in big matchups. I don't know, Rob Whittaker, if he doesn't fight Costa, maybe that. Maybe Costa Strickland. Does he get the immediate rematch? He wants it, but I really don't think the UFC is crazy about it. It was a tit-for-tat fight. Strickland's straights and jabs were on point. Du Plessis, though, was an absolute bull. He landed some hard shots and nice kicks. He mixed in some takedowns. It was quality. It was quality by both. But for me, I had Strickland finishing stronger. How they finished, for me, it was the 5th round won the fight. Strickland, at the end, those last flurries, too, he won them. And a lot of that 5th round, he won. So I thought he was the deserving winner. But it seems like he only got rounds 1 and 5 on a lot of judges' scorecards. I guess the winning judges' scorecards, which is why it costed him this world title. And he loses it in his first defense, which is unfortunate because Sean Strickland, hell of a fucking American champ. Hell of a superstar. And now du Plessis has the belt, and he's already looking past to the Adesanya rematch, or Adesanya fight, rather, the beef squash. They got to settle the grudge, and I think they're going to probably next. With Strickland waiting in the wings, maybe fights another guy, but I do think he's eventually back in that title picture. Still young at 32. I think he still has another run in him, and I don't think this is the last time we see him and du Plessis fight. So close, you can run this one back right away. You can do the Izzy fight first and then run it back afterwards. Strickland can be there. If there's not a clear guy on the come up, because there maybe isn't. I mean, Jared Cannonier, Strickland too, could end up being the fight for a real #1 contender spot if they want to force Strickland for one more. But yeah, man. Main event. New champ. Dricus du Plessis. Probably Adesanya next for him. Maybe Strickland Cannonier. I do like the idea of a rematch. And I did have Sean Strickland as the winner at the end of my scorecard. But that's how this game goes. They don't want Strickland at the top. They don't need him as the face of the weight class. I'll tell you that. Now, as far as my picks, the record on it. So we started off the night very good. Started 1-0 with Jimmy Flick over Malcolm Gordon. Then 2-0 with Jasmine Jasudavicius over Priscilla Cachoeira. Then 2-1 with a loss. I had Lainesse over Patterson. Then 3-1 with Robertson over Viana. Then 3-2 with Sidey losing to Taveras. Then 4-2 with Woodson beating Jourdain. Then 4-3 with Katona taking an L to Armfield. Then 5-3 with Arnold Allen winning. And then losing streak galore. We finish 1, 2, 3, 4. I got to count this. So we lost with du Plessis, Strickland at the top. I had Strickland. Lost with Bueno Silva. I had Bueno Silva. Lost with Malott. I had Malott. Magny beat him. Lost with Mark Andre. Had him over Curtis. So 0-4 on the big four. We got 1 win here, 2 win there, 3 win there, 4 win there, 5 wins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, 5-7. I got my ass whooped on this card picks-wise, but I did think some close decisions that could have gone either way, so I could have evened things out. Maybe not my best picks night, but the commentary was 10 out of 10 on the live stream, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. The week's worth of content, I think, was A1, and the daily live streams were heat. So I hope you guys enjoy the content. Off week next week, I'm going to have the full content schedule linked in the description, so keep your eyes on it. I'll be, dropping some videos, some early picks, some reactions to things, and daily live streams. So you don't want to miss it. Keep your eyes peeled right here, locked into the MMA Experts channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the recap show. I hope you guys enjoyed the UFC 297 fight content. The lock streak ends. I was in a 3 in a row. I tried to throw it all on Strickland. He loses a split. I take an L. But it's all right because we'll get back on that horse and ride again for next card. And we're getting that double-digit win streak this year. I promise you. Much love, my people. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought of the fights in the comments. Was it a robbery? Do you think the main event was a robbery? You think Strickland should have won like I did? Or do you think Dricus du Plessis won it? Are you part of the big media? Maybe not. Listen, close fight is what it is. It's part of the game. Smash the likes. If you guys are new, subscribe. And turn those post notifications. Don't just leave them on personalized. Put them on all so you don't miss a video. It's like I said, daily content. Thank you guys so much. And if you got nothing to say in those comments, but you just enjoy the content as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Much love, my people. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.